Now, I don't know why I'm doing this video. It takes a bunch of research and people are weighing in about Francis Ngannou in the PFL, especially after he just made their top heavyweight look like a can crushing. But since Dana White just declared war on the PFL and Francis Ngannou, I feel like I should strike while the iron is hot and I can help Ngannou in some sort of way to at least have this on someone's YouTube homepage for them to go, oh, he probably has some guys to fight as they scroll past it. I'm a Francis Ngannou fan. I want people to care about Francis Ngannou's post-UFC career and for him not to fade into a Chris Cyborg where you didn't even know they had a fight coming up. I mean, I'd bet a lot of new fans don't even know who Chris Cyborg even is now. So someone's got to try and get some interest in Ngannou, I suppose. It's a huge waste of time, but if you're one of the 5 or 10 people who will even watch more than 10 seconds of this is for you. Because nobody is really going to know these guys or their opponents, I'm going to do a pros and cons format, see how this works out. Okay, first guy, Ante Delija, Croatian heavyweight. Ante is one of the best heavyweights in the PFL right now. Fun fact, he's a training partner of Tomas Bernal, so he's got a feel of that a light UFC heavyweight, at least in sparring or training. He also beat Renan Ferreira. He just took him down and stopped him with ease, like Ngannou just did. He's got that strong grappling base. The problem with him facing Francis is he's not very big. It says he's 6'5", but I don't think that's accurate, and Francis would be taller than him. I think he's probably more around 6'2". He's just about 17 stone 5 or 244 pounds. I don't think he'd be able to out-muscle Ngannou at all, so it would need to be a striking battle. Not the best striker, not a bad striker, but not the best. He's been KO'd 4 times, and coming off a KO loss. If you can't grapple Francis and you aren't great defensively like a Cyril Gane, it's hard to believe in you. Then the power-wise, he's not the most powerful guy. He's got 24 wins with 11 KOs. Definitely one of the better challenges for Francis Ngannou in the PFL, but Ngannou would be the massive favourite. Secondly, Oleg Popov, Russian heavyweight from Fedor Emelianenko's gym, 19-2. The one loss early in his career and one recent loss from Denis Goltsov. Just a first round submission. Most fights on the Russian regional scene, 1 fight in Bellator and now 3-1 in the PFL. Now I don't really like him personality wise, and I'll tell you why. He participated in that horrific Bigfoot Silva post-UFC career where Bigfoot went to Russia and got knocked out about 20 times. Now, I'm not talking in 2016 where you may have had some fear he might be able to do something. This was in 2022 where he was a working punching bag. He knocked him out cold, then played that super respectful, oh guys, I respect the guy I just knocked out. I didn't mean to punch him while he was out, guys, with the prayer hands. But emotions aside, he has that fleet-footed, smooth Eastern European Soviet bloc boxing style. To picture it, he's a bit like the MMA version of Dmitry Bivol. Be aware, I'm saying he's nice and fluid for a MMA heavyweight here. Good grappling base. He's not a submission guy, but he'll wear you down, and he is mainly a grappler. He's got that Russian sambo habit of looping his punches, which can be good and bad, but bad if you're facing Ngannou, who loves people that loop their punches so he can pull counter. I don't see him doing much to Francis in the striking, but the grappling ability may make things interesting. Going to be hard for him not to get KO'd throwing the loopy shots, but we'll see. I'm more interested in this one, and I think he's probably next. Okay, Valentin Moldavsky. Okay, another Russian from Fedor team. Going to have the same fleet-footed, loopy punches and grappling style as Oleg Popov. He's a smaller guy than Popov, 6'1" and 16 stone or 241 pounds, but he is a lot smoother and even more confident in the striking. But 13 wins and only 2 KOs. He's not got that power for Francis Ngannou to be worried about. Also not great defensively. He likes to lean back to avoid shots and ends up getting hit anyway. Grappling wise, he's not a monster. 3 submission wins. It's okay. Okay, Linton Vassell. English heavyweight, he's an exciting fighter and did KO the last guy we talked about, Valentin Moldavsky. Last loss was also to Oleg Popov. The thing is with these PFL guys, is a lot of these guys are going to have losses because they fight so often, so set that aside. He brings it, and he's very vicious with his ground and pound, like he beat the hell out of Tim Johnson. He's got good power, likes to swang and bang, fought Ryan Bader, Czech Congo, King Mo, Phil Davis, so he has a lot of experience. Problem is, if guys like Phil Davis are knocking you out, like I know it was in 2018 and Phil Davis is a good fighter, but knocked out, it's something that doesn't sit well with me. He could bring a fun fight to Ngannou for however long it lasts, and that's all that matters at this point, I'm telling you. Moving on to the easiest fight in the PFL heavyweight division, Ryan Bader. If he even is in the PFL, because the Bellator merger is weird. But his last fight was in the PFL against Renan Ferreira, where he got knocked out with ease. This is the easiest fight for Francis Ngannou right now, and Ngannou should take it for that easy money, really. Okay, I'm joking, well, half joking. Ryan Bader is one of the guys, much like Phil Davis, and what will probably happen to Francis Ngannou in all honesty, who had a very successful post-UFC career, but he faded into obscurity. You saw him on Twitter win a fight and went, oh, Ryan Bader is still fighting. He's built up some wins, avenged the loss against Lyoto Machida in a boring fight. He beat old Fedor twice. Now Ryan Bader is clearly all juiced up and has good grappling, so he could do something to Ngannou. He got knocked out quickly against Renan, so we need to see him win a few fights in the PFL firstly, but it's a good fight to make. His striking is okay, he has some power. He should treat the floor like hot lava in striking though, because Francis will do him worse than Renan. I see this one happening down the line. Francis Ngannou is still the massive favourite, you know the drill here. Okay, Denis Goltsov. Russian heavyweight, he's currently the top ranked, well PFL call it top standing because of their point system, but the top ranked PFL heavyweight. His next fight is Oleg Popov, so I think the winner decides who fights Francis Ngannou next actually. Should have put him higher. Anyway, so pros and cons, a good record, one of the best we've seen yet, 36-8. So 33 fights in total, good stuff. And out of the 35 wins, 18 KO wins, 12 submissions, and 6 decisions. So by all means, we can call this guy a finisher. We look at his losses, only one is a decision loss, so usually, most of the time, he lives by the third and dies by the third. That spells an interesting fight in my books. Okay, last 3 wins, first round submission of Oleg Popov, first round KO of Tim Johnson, first round KO of Thiago Santos, dropped Thiago with a very short left hook and mauled him on the ground, which Thiago has no knees, so it's going to be hard for him to stand up, so we really have to take that into account. But still, first round, nobody really does that to Santos. Very good grappling, big guy, good power, finisher, these are all bonuses. He did just get KO'd by Renan Ferreira, but he was winning that fight and doing what you should do to Renan if you're a top heavyweight. But Renan can catch you, it happens. Interesting fight if it does happen. I'd put Ngannou as a favourite, but I like Denis Goltsov's chances more than most. Now potentially PFL could draw from the Bellator light heavyweight roster. The only person I could put stock in to give Ngannou a tough fight is Vadim Nemkov. He's a pretty big guy, only one loss early in his career to Jiri Prohaska. Bellator's got a few named good light heavyweights. Cody Anderson, Phil Davis, Yoel Romero is still kicking about, but they're too small and don't have the insane skill to make up for that. They're good everywhere, but not next level where they could get over the raw strength and power of Ngannou. I bet they just want that $3 million payday if that happens. Anyway, hope this was informative. I'm off.